As an American living in Ireland, it certainly seems beneficial to keep my US domicile for tax purposes. Can a new domicile ever be forced upon someone? What if I, American, continue to live in Ireland for many decades or into old age? Can I still keep my US domicile? So, well, again, we were talking about this earlier. It is a test of facts and circumstances. That drives it. From in the U.S. and Damien will comment on the case law, but in the U.S. it's not in any IRS code. So what we do is we need to rely on case law to understand how the courts would interpret domicile. So I've written it sections in my book, but I also have on my website htj.tax. If you do a search for articles, I have like over 1,000 articles on U.S. tax and friendly jurisdictions that we would deal with. I do quote at least 10 pivotal cases in U.S. tax court, which guide how the U.S. authorities view domicile from a tax perspective. But essentially, just to give you the real quick summary, it's a test of intent plus deliberate action. So what they do is look at, okay, what was your intent in leaving the U.S. to go to Ireland? If it is that, you had a going away party, you broadcasted on Facebook Live, all your friends came over and you said, goodbye guys, I ain't coming back. That's it. I'm gone. Good knowing you. So obviously you display, I'm being extreme, but that is definitely intent to shift domicile. You are gone. Whereas on the flip side, we've seen cases, and cases have been cited in courts where they would fly back to the US once a year, twice a year to see friends and relatives. They maintain membership in certain social clubs. So, for example, in certain fraternal organizations or whatever, they maintain their membership, they maintain relationships, and they maintain bank accounts, they maintain activity to suggest that it was not their intent to abandon the US on a permanent basis. So it's really a test of fact and circumstance as to where you end up being domiciled, but it should not be left to chance. We would recommend that it's part of a proper estate plan, as I mentioned in my book behind. Because as you would be aware, if it is that you're deemed to be US domiciled through your facts and circumstances test, your assets in Ireland and elsewhere in the world may be subject to US estate taxes. So that is something to keep in mind. You don't want to leave that sort of thing to chance. Damien, over to you.
Yeah, I think that's a very good explanation of the concept of domicile, Derren. And again, the old example that I always refer to is like when it can come down to as much as where do you intend on being buried, and if it's the case you're going to be buried in your country of residence, then a bit like the factors that you had touched on there, it wouldn't be looking good for you in terms of arguing the toss that your domicile of origin remains your domicile. But again, it should be easy enough if your figures and your circumstances are such that you have to, it makes such a difference to you to be non-domiciled. It's generally easy enough to maintain what needs to be maintained to resist any potential challenge that could be there. I just answer one other question I see here. How do I sever my domicile status in my state? So, like, as far as I know, in most jurisdictions, it's again a self-assessment thing, and it's really a matter for each person to their own to determine where their domicile status is. And of course, it's only in the case of a query or a challenge that you may have to account for your thought process and so forth with it. So I suppose if your figures are such that to change domicile is merited, plan early and take the right advice, and you probably won't go too far wrong.
Please subscribe, like, share, and comment below. Our books and upcoming events are available at htj.tax. Email us at help@htj.tax to engage us, to advise on international tax or business matters.